Hey guys, this is V13 for the how to design build a custom Sparkle Flying V using Stuart McDonald templates. And primarily in this video, I'm going to be talking about the neck and the neck construction a little bit, but also just showing some of the progress because I did get the headstock face painted with the black nitrocellulose lacquer, but I did not paint the stinger. And for any of those out there that might be curious, I'm going to hold off on painting the stinger until the auction closes in the event someone does not want the stinger. So that's a guarantee. What I want to do first, let's just talk about this. That way I can pull these tuners off. These tuners actually go on my little 58 replica there. These are Gatos, and they are the Cluson historical replica. I think they're called the SD90, and they are relict from the factory, and they did a phenomenal job with the antiquing and the color of the knobs and the function, the tuning. I've been running these on that guitar for over a year, have had incredible tuning stability. So I say that to say this. Everyone that's considering purchasing this guitar knows that I'm not including the tuners, and I had mentioned in the ad or the listing, hey, if you provide your tuners, I'll install them and I'll set everything up for you because uh, I will be temporarily installing these anyway. I have a little jig that allows me to install tuners without screwing holes into the headstock and setting up the guitar. That's why I'm able to do that for no charge. But if you wanted to purchase these, I think I paid something like $64 for them, $65, give or take, shipping and tax and all that jazz, or it's probably free shipping. But if you like these and you want me to, I'll, they'd be extra, but I will provide these and then I'll just replenish my stock for that guitar because these are readily available. Okay. And that shows you exactly, basically what it would look like. Why? Because this footprint on this headstock is identical to that one right there because uh, it's from, it's built, everything is machined from my acrylic template that after I finalized the design, I turned it into an actual template by which I work by. So what you're looking at is exactly what's on that guitar right there. And that'll give you an idea about, just what I just said, what it would look like if you went with the historical. I don't have these tight because I don't want to crush any indentation into it, but odds are, since this is possibly, this is definitely going to be a finished guitar for certain, I will be installing these on there, so I don't have a problem crushing that, but I don't want to do that on that one because you may elect to go with, a different tuner. And if you go with something like this, total different story, because if you were to remove that and put that in, you're going to see both screw locations. So, and what I should be pointing out here is that I paid very particular attention to detail right here. This offset from the corner of that housing to the edge of the curve right there is very much based on pictures that I found online of 1958 guitars. And keep in mind now, my headstock is more narrow right here, and I believe theirs is, gosh, about another 3/8 of an inch longer, and it's just so much bigger. And when I say I'm more narrow right here, what that allows one to do by bringing this in, yet keeping the scale under control, it brings the high E and the low E in much closer to the center line. Therefore, your the string path, PATH, the string path which comes off the nut is very moderate. It's just really minimal. Whereas on the historical guitars, man, they flare out like crazy, and that's a tuning instability. That's a tuning issue, especially if you're running a Bigsby. So let me pause, and I'm going to pull these off here because I'm going to need this set when we're doing our weight analysis here in just a moment. Okay, before I forget, I did spend a little bit of time with this neck, and I sprayed, I sanded it with some 400, and then I sprayed one fairly wet coat of clear nitro amber. It has just a very small amount of tint to it. So the reason I show this neck is because that these two these two necks came out of the exact same board. So this one, I was watching the video last night, and I thought, man, it looks a lot lighter in the camera than it really is in person. And I think it's just because that light is just really beaming into it. But I don't know if you can see that, but I picked up an incredible amount of flame all through that neck. So uh, where I'm going with this is I'm going to be putting a few more coats of nitro on here, and it'll probably darken even a little bit more. But because these are from the same board, I think they came out of the board. They typically come out like this right here. I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's like that right there, except this goes up in there. So when you're looking at one board, you're kind of looking at the other side. So and I'm getting my hands full here. But what I want to do before I do an analysis of the weight of the guitar, I want to do some tuner weight comparatives. That way, if you guys are really out there engineering down to the last gram, you'll be able to do it with this video. Okay, this is the tuner that I typically would recommend putting on this guitar because it's, it's traditionally correct. So you would have the single tuner, 2 screws, and the ferrule. Okay, so we're looking at 24 grams. I'm going to stay in grams with all of this. So let me start over in case you were watching that. I don't want to confuse anybody. Just the tuner and the housing, 21 grams, 22 grams, 23 grams. Starts creeping up a little bit. So we're looking at 24 grams. They're very light, very, very light tuner. And this is made in Germany. Shaler, the M6, the small for the 6-in-line, like the Eddie Van Halen type Strat, 33 grams. This is an old 1970s custom, which is really cool. Would look really awesome on like an old guitar, but I think they're a little bit heavier than the Shaler. Yeah, a little bit. 40 grams. Okay, so do your math, do your research. Based on these numbers I just gave you, you will be able to add those numbers to the total weight analysis that I'm about to give you. But what I'm about to do is weigh all of these tuners at once with the guitar. So I had to do the initial comparative first for those of you that are as bad as me about engineering stuff, right down to the last gram. So let's weigh this thing and see what we got. And I'll do it in pounds and grams. And I'll check, make sure I'm in the. Make sure it's not touching right there. Okay, 2,629 grams. 5.796 pounds. Does not have the frets installed yet. So, but we're about to install the frets right now. There would be, I think usually what happens by the time I do a complete fret job, I usually have like 1.5 left. So to be fairly conservative, I'm going to take one out, and I think that's fair. I'll even take the plastic off. And let me do this too so I don't scratch anything. All right, so we're 5.796 pounds. We're basically 5.914 pounds with the frets in. 2,682 grams. Typically, the first thing you add would be the pickups and the housing, all that jazz. I won't have the pickup screws to go through there, so, you know, close. 2,935 grams. 6.472 pounds. Complete tuner set. 3,081 grams. 6.792 pounds. The three-way will be just a little bit lighter than that because it's the short, but we're close enough for rock and roll. 3,201 grams. Sorry, forgot the wire. This is rough. This is probably overkill, the wiring. Make sure there's nothing I'm missing. Okay, 3,221 grams, 7.102 pounds. And now I think we're at a point to where we've got to put a bridge on it. Keep in mind this guitar has already been sprayed with all the lacquer, so that there's a considerable amount of weight right there. So let's go back to grams. 3,221 grams. Now we're going to add these monsters right here. And I can feel the weight. Those are steel tone hinges, and then the nickel Kluson studs. And if you do that, you got to have the bridge. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the bridge up there. 3,321 grams. Make sure nothing's going on with my scale here. Okay. Yeah, 3,321 grams. 7.322 pounds. Okay, we're back to grams. Now we're going to add the Kluson ABR1 bridge with the nylon saddles. And the only thing we would need atop this would be the strings and a few other things. Got a truss rod cover up there. What would a set of strings weigh? A complete set of strings in this pack that has never been opened, so I think this can conservatively cover the weight of the strings and even the weight of our strap buttons. I'm looking at the table. I don't see anything else that we need to put atop that guitar. 3,414 grams should be very conservative assessment, and that piece of paper is going to be coming off as well. 7.528 pounds. So Chris, I told you it was about a 7.5 pound guitar. I was within 28 grams. So pretty close there. Let me pause and let me look at it for a second and think about what we might want to consider. I think that's it. That's the guitar. And if anything, I've probably got a little bit of extra wiring, but you know, not a half a pound. We're within a very small amount. So again, 3,414 grams, 7.528 pounds. Let me pause, get cleaned up, get all this crap off the table, and then we'll talk about possibly putting EMGs in this thing. Okay, since I don't have any way of showing exactly what the body would weigh without the neck, I'm going to weigh it again, and then I'm going to weigh this neck here, which is virtually identical, and then I'll let you guys do the math. So it's, oh, I'm sitting there touching the table. They put on a little bit of weight somehow or another, 5.794 pounds. Uh-oh, scale turned off. Dude, sorry. Okay, well, there it is. 5.794 pounds, 2,628 grams. Four hundred ninety grams, 1.080 pounds for the neck lower, which is what I'm used to seeing. It's it's one of the reasons I love the Honduran mahogany. It's just light as a feather light. And this has the overlay. It has nitrocellulose lacquer on it. It has the double adjustable truss rod. That this is identical to, this is the same rod I always use. So basically, your rod goes all the way to about right there. So I might talk about that a little bit in detail in a little while, but I don't want to start talking about it right now, because what I want to do is pause again and mock up the guitar like in its fully dressed state, and then we'll talk about possibly doing filtertrons or possibly doing EMG pickups. Okay, so let me pause and we'll go from there. I completely forgot to show the headstock a little bit on the front end. So I'm going to just do a real quiet flyby here, let you see this initial work. Very close to the finished product. But again, I'm going to shoot some more clear on the neck, and it'll warm up a little bit. But what this is about, and one of the reasons why I haven't done a video yet is because yesterday, all day long, it just rained all day long. And anytime you're doing multiple coats of lacquer, even if you're indoors, you have to be really careful about the humidity. So I was having to wait like 30 to 45 minutes between each application. Typically, when I've got a really dry, low humidity day, and I'm able to shoot coat after coat after coat within 5 or 10 minutes, like I did this morning with the Les Paul replica there. And then I think I did shoot 1 or 2 coats of clear this morning. I can't remember, but it's been sanded with a 400 grit. It's still not finished, but it's really close. And then I could either leave it in like a hand rubbed state, or I could leave it shiny. It looks much better when you leave it in the rubbed state. And this is actually going to get pulled. That's all tape right there. Once that tape comes out, you'll see all of the clear coat mahogany up under it. Okay. Now I can pause and mock it up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, should be able to finish the video within about 10 minutes or so. Obviously, as I mentioned in the last video, this would be the ideal guitar to me, except with the antique, the relic bridge and tailpiece. But that's irrelevant because it's not my guitar. But it is really attractive. I do like the parchment. These are from Philadelphia Luthier Supply, and they are the authentic replicas of the vintage, the really massive pickup ring. So I don't have any of those, but as I mentioned, I've got the Gibson Cream, and I've got the black Gibson that I'm about to show in a little while. But if you wanted those pickup rings, you could get them from Philadelphia Luthier Supply. And you might have to lower that one a little bit, but this one, I took off about 1/16 of an inch of that one to get it to fit that guitar. So, and the reason I'm doing this is so I can snap a photo for my build records. This allows me to, let me make sure it's in the camera. Because 2 years from now, I won't remember. I won't remember anything. Uh, and starting from the basics, if you were to remain with the parchment, change over to the black knob, and it's amazing how quickly little things start really changing the dynamic of the guitar. But I do love the fact that you've got the black and the cream, the zebra, and the parchment, and then the binding. This binding really, and the black and the gold, man, it really gives you a platform by which you can go any direction you want, and you're about to see it in a minute. I wish I had the time to do. Uh, I would not be able to find the third one, but I wish I had time to talk about possibly doing the more modern knob, like the barrel. But we may cover that in a minute when I talk about the EMG. It's possibly doing the EMG. And originally, I had planned on building this guitar possibly for myself, the hollow body Flying V that I had might have shown a little bit, and taking both of these guitars to Nashville and either putting in, well, I can't really say any names, but there's two different high-end vintage stores up there, and possibly hang them in the wall there or let them broker the sale. But I got busy building the 58 Explorer and then this guitar and that guitar and then cutting the grass, and life happens. So I'm going to leave that knob there, and I'm going to start stripping her down in real time. And I'm going to get that out of sight, out of mind. And then this is the Gibson, the black. It's kind of far. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to sight down it to get them centered, and then I will turn it a little bit. That should be close enough right there. Obviously, if you wanted to, I make these little paper templates because when I'm doing design and layout, I need all the help I can get, or did years ago when I first started doing this. Now I can kind of see the guitar just you know naturally without having to do any of that stuff. Well, it's not really making any difference. But that'll give you an idea. If you did the open face pick up in the black ring and it still ties in, because you got the black knob, possibly could do the cream, let your imagination go with you there. Or as I promised, if you, let me have to line set so I can sight down. If you were to go with like an EMG, and I didn't clarify, but within this auction, uh, I will provide at no extra charge the black pickup rings with the black screws fastened to the body, but not the pickups. Okay, so that's what it would look like if you started going a little bit more modern, and then you would probably want to start changing these over to something different. But the whole idea of this design is, since it's based on the 50s Carina footprint, uh, I don't see EMGs in this guitar, but to each his own. So let's get that off. And just off the table, out of sight, out of mind. It's a little bit late now, but somebody had chimed in a few. It was probably about 2 weeks back, and was talking about a flying V with a P90, and I know they do them and have done them. I've never done a flying V with a P90, but he mentioned something about the P90. Maybe there's like some sort of retro ring. Um, so I say all that to say this: if you want this machine for a P90, and you're able to find some sort of ring that will act kind of like the Gretsch ring, at what you're on your own. But if you just tell me you want a machine for P90s, and speaking of that, I hope I can find it. I should have already clarified this, but see, I have the Stuart McDonald 1954, 55. Well, it would actually be 1952, 53, 54, 55, and did they do 56? I don't know if they did the P90s in 57, but this is from Stuart McDonald. This will go directly onto this guitar, and I can machine these P90s exactly where they're supposed to go. I say that it might be a little bit different now that I've already done the humbuckers, but nonetheless, if you can come up with the pickup rings for P90s, I will machine it for P90s for you for no charge, and that would be super cool to get to do because it'd give me an excuse to do a video. In case you uh, haven't noticed, I like working on guitars, and I don't mind doing some stuff for free for people that are really cool, but not for people that are obviously just taking advantage of the situation. Before I go too far with that, I've built a lot of, and I'm just gonna stop. I've done a lot of Gretsch work. I mean, a ton of vintage Gretsch. These are like 1961 or 62 Filtertrons. I know exactly how they're supposed to mount. They're supposed to mount atop these little neoprene foam bases and centered and all that jazz. I know exactly how to mount those. I could do that work, but that would be additional because there's a lot of machining that I would have to do in order to get that to work. However, with the Tom Jones, is that a TV Jones? With the TV Jones design, you can get the Gretsch ring that will, obviously hold the Filtertron, but in the English mount. And then I'll be more than happy for no charge if you provide that type setup. I'll be more than happy to machine this body in order to receive. Uh, I knew it would fall through, but let's see if I can get. It's gonna be sticking up too high if I wedge it in. But at least that might allow you to see what it would look like. It's just way too high. But you guys, if you guys are interested in the Filtertron, you know exactly what they're supposed to look like and where they're supposed to be. That's amazing. That's what your vintage guitar typically looks like. They'll be nice and shiny on one side and then heavily corroded on the other, and almost to the point where it's nasty. So I'll be happy to machine it for Filtertrons. Okay. And it's funny. I got them mixed up, so I'm just gonna have to leave those off, and I'll have to revert back to my video to see which one went where, because it's difficult. I don't know if that went like that, or if that went like that, or if it went like that. So I'll have to look at the video to make that determination. Put these over to the side in order. So we talked about possibly doing P90s. We talked about doing the Filtertron. We talked about, I think we talked about enough, or I talked about enough. Let me check the time, and then I'll determine how I want to end the video. 28 minutes. Yeah, if anything, I'm just going to stop talking. Now, what I will do is let me just read through this list very quickly, and that way it will assure that I've covered everything. I will be uploading more pictures tonight and until Saturday, because I don't think I'll be able to upload any more pictures after Saturday for you guys that are really interested in the auction. So there'll be additional pictures coming as I get the guitar finished. One thing I kind of need to talk about here briefly is And I got to tell you, I'm really torn about doing the frets. And I'm not sure what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I'll shoot really straight with you. I really want to go ahead and do the frets that I like to work with. I know exactly what they're going to install, like how they will install, and what they're going to sound like, et cetera, et cetera. And if I sit here and go, oh yeah, if you just send me your frets, I'll put them in there for you. I'll have I'll have 15 email exchanges with someone trying to explain to them what I mean by the radius of the fret or the fret that I need, or they'll be telling me that they want it to feel like their 1964 Strat, and that doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean anything. So I wish I could say I'm going to leave it fretless and then let you make your own pick. But this is an eBay auction, and odds are this thing is going to sell for about half of what it's really worth. So if you don't like the frets, you could take it to a local shop and have them take a soldering iron, remove the frets that I installed, and then they can install the frets you want. And I think fret work is about $300 to $500. So just understand, I'm not being a smartass, but I can't give away free Lutherie services and stuff. So, but if there's anybody out there that's watching this ad right now and you are seriously planning on bidding to win this guitar, if you shoot me an email and let me know, hey man, I'm going to be one of the last guys standing and I don't want frets, then I definitely will hold off on the frets. I don't have a problem doing that. And I might not do the fret work until Saturday morning. That way, that really gives people time to see this video and make that determination. And I'm glad I got to talk about that because I didn't want to come off as a jerk, but I also wanted to come off as to let you know that there's certain things I got to be firm about. But man, if there's something you just got to have because all of your other guitars have a real low, small fret wire, I get it. I completely understand that you wouldn't want this to feel like a completely different guitar, and I'm glad I went off the rails. The Jescar wide medium fret that I installed, here are the specs. The crown width is 1.04. It looks like that's 2.64 millimeter. Let me back up. I don't want to do the metric because I can't hardly read it. I may be wrong. The crown width is 0.104. That's imperial. The crown height is 0.047. The tang depth is 0.051. So if you got luthier or if you know about that type of stuff, just keep those numbers in the back of your mind. And I'll go straight to the finish line and tell you, I don't know why they call these a wide medium. Every time I think of wide, I think of like the old '80s Gibsons or the guitars where they had those super jumbo wide, the jumbo frets, and they were enormous. These are not that at all. This is a very articulate wire, and just I'm gonna stop because they don't feel like the jumbo, or they don't even feel like a wide fret wire. To me they feel like a medium. Okay. But what I feel and what you feel is probably two completely different things. We already talked about the tuner installation, the finish nut. I do have the bone nut and I have the brass nut. Um, I could install the brass nut, but I would kind of really encourage you to go with the bone nut. And I could also install a tusk nut, but I've already been there. And I think it was Flying V number it was either 5 or 6. I can't remember which one. No, it wouldn't have been 5 because that was a Floyd Rose equipped guitar. I think it was Flying V number 6. It was. The guy was considering the Tusk nut, and I actually ordered it, and it was way too shrill and harsh. It sounded really rough. Now, the brass nut is incredibly dynamic, and you can really warm it up if you know how to do that. But the bone nut is very forgiving, and I've never installed a nylon. I don't want to fool with that type of stuff, but I will be doing the bone nut, and it'll be very easy to remove. Once you see this another video or two, you'll see how precise the nut fits in the guitar, and it will be really easy to replace if you wanted to later on. We talked about the pickup rings and we talked about the bridge and the tail enough in the past video. I think the only reason I wrote this down is to just to clarify to you, I am not going to be drilling the anchors or installing the ground wire. You know, like in other words, if in case you guys haven't watched the video before this one, uh, your Cluson tail, that's what your guitar looks like. These, you know, they go all the way up. They go all the way up. Okay, that's what's down in the body. I'm not going to be drilling these holes or installing these until I hear back from the winning bidder to let me know exactly what they want, how they want to build their guitar, because they may elect to go to have me install these anchors way up here or just up here in the bridge location, and then therefore that allows them to do the wraparound like the Leo Kwan-esque type wraparound bridge, which would look incredibly attractive, and a lot of you guys out there love that bridge. I haven't played that configuration in a terribly long time. My SG that I had when I was a kid had that, and I loved it. It was great on a flat top. So if that's what you want, man, I'd be more than happy to machine the anchors up there, and we'll hold off here. But the listing does include me doing this machine work and installing these anchors, and even providing this nickel aluminum Cluson bridge, and in addition to that, even installing. We're going to geek out here a little bit. What you do is when you drill this hole for this anchor, you then drill into the control cavity and you run a cloth wire for the ground. And basically, it's, if you were to remove the body, it's basically, this folds over a little bit, but basically the ground wire would be, it's not soldered, it's just press fit, but then the ground wire would run over into the control cavity. I'm providing all that. That's not an additional fee. Okay. But I want to leave it open for right now so that I'm not having to patch holes in case somebody said they wanted to go with the Leo Kwan-esque. I call it the Leo Kwan just because that's what I remember as a kid, the wraparound. Sky's the limit. We'll do whatever you want. And then what else? We talked about the weight analysis, and I talked about the fret discussion enough to let you know I'd really prefer to just do my own frets, but I've already talked about that, so there's no sense in rehashing that. That should be the end of the video right there. So I so appreciate you guys staying in the ring. I hope it wasn't a waste of anybody's time or confusing to those who might be completely unaware of what it takes to build a guitar, but there's a lot of moving parts. So if you got any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll go from there. See you guys in the next video.